God didn't bring you this far to leave you here, no matter what you're facing.
No man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I have been with Moses, I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Joshua 1 verse 5. So if you're feeling discouraged at all today in the challenges that you're facing, just claim this verse. Claim the verse that says God will never fail you and that he will never forsake you. And that in itself should just give you some joy and encouragement for today.
We were coaching in our community just yesterday, and one of the women said something so profound on that call. She had always feared being abandoned, being left alone. She's been through a difficult divorce and living with chronic pain in this current season of her life. And she talked about how already, not even she's only a few months out from that divorce. And she already says that she can see how God has been working in her and through those situations, and how those were her worst case scenarios.
And we get so discouraged that we become despondent. We just kind of lose our focus. We lose our way. We get lost and we get dissatisfied with our life.
And she said, the worst thing has happened that I could ever have possibly imagined, but God didn't abandon me. He is still there. He has still shown up. And she can see how God has been working through that time in her life.
She has, looked at her scenario, realized that God was still with her in that journey and that he did not leave her. He did not forsake her. And she's learning and growing from this tragedy. We all have lessons to learn, and we can see that even in a difficult situation, we know that God is still there with us, leading us and guiding us and holding us by the hand, and sometimes actually carrying us through the storm.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that these things aren't challenging or discouraging, because they absolutely are. And is this what she would have wished for, a divorce and chronic pain? Absolutely not.
What she did is she looked at the worst case scenario. And you and I should be able to do that as well. If you fear something, if you fear abandonment, if you fear a loss of a job, if you fear, lack of income, if you fear God leaving you, whatever your fear is, if you think of the worst case scenario and play it out, it will actually be a tool to help you recognize that it might not be as bad as what your mind is playing tricks with you on. Mm-hmm. That if you do the what if game, it can actually help you get through this challenge. So let's just take financial situation as an example. Maybe you've lost your job and this is devastating. You rely on your income. So what is the worst case scenario when you lose a job? Well,
your income goes away. You'll have to look for another job, which can be scary.
You might not have enough money to carry you through for the next couple of months. And maybe you'll end up losing your house, and maybe you'll have to move in with your parents or a friend, or it's going to be some situation that you're not really happy about.
Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty horrible, doesn't it?
But in this situation, you know that God is still with you. He didn't bring you this far to leave you or to let you go. Mm-hmm. He still has plans for your life. And sometimes recognizing that in that worst case scenario, God is still there. You're still going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. In fact, we sometimes say nothing might be okay, but ultimately everything will be okay, because like that verse from Joshua says, he will never fail us. He will never forsake us. He is always with us. And so if we can learn how to shift our focus to our good God who has good plans for us, then that can help through those difficult times. And the Bible also talks about how in this world you will have trouble. And so we are going to have these seasons in life. We are going to have hard things that come our way. But the more that we can grow in our faith and trust that God didn't bring us this far to drop us off on the curb and leave us.
That's right. And that's what you just talked about with this woman who has just gone through a really stressful time in her life with pain and a divorce. And what she has already realized is that God is teaching her lessons, and that God has brought her through the worst case scenario. And she's still searching for a job. Her her challenges are still there, but she's already recognizing that God is teaching her, still loving her, still there for her, and still encouraging her, lifting her up every single day.
And has provided for her in ways that she would not have expected. And maybe not how she wanted, but God still showed up. Maybe nothing will be how you wanted or planned, but we know that with God in the journey, everything will be okay.